Just a while ago, Christoph Thiers spent some time here in our new Dolby Atmos Control Room D. Christoph works as a mixing and mastering engineer and is a specialist in 3D audio and Dolby Atmos. He has mixed countless productions in 3D audio for artists such as Schulz, Seal, Ray Dalton, Sarah Connor, Moby, Scooter, and many more. I talked to Christoph about the latest developments in the world of 3D audio, including the important technical basics, as well as our new HOFA-College online course on 3D audio, which he helped us develop with his valuable input. Let's go! Let's start with you, Christoph. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your how you get started in 3D audio and how you got onto the topic.
Well, thanks for having me. My name's Christoph Thiers. I'm a professional audio nerd, I'd say. I'm specialized in mixing and mastering, and I mainly do Dolby Atmos these days, because that's the format folks ask for, and I have most fun with. Obviously, for the largest part of my career, I have always been working with stereo. I still do. Mixing, mastering, also recording, obviously. Not as many projects though. How I got started with 3D audio was actually binaural audio. I kind of got bored after a while, I think, and I started adding a few more and more three-dimensional signals to my mixes and to my stereo productions. The thing with binaural audio though, for those of you who don't know, binaural audio is basically three-dimensional audio that only works on headphones. So, works great on headphones actually, and the output is just two channels, but for the left and the right ear. But it doesn't translate well to speakers. You can play it back, but if you add too much of it, a fully binaural, like super three-dimensional binaural mix is usually quite phasey and a little which is weird on speakers. So I only could use that much, say like 15 or 20%, if you want to put it that way, of like three-dimensional information in my stereo productions, which was always a bit of a bummer. So I did that for a few years, and then around 2020 and 21, rumors were 3D audio, specifically Dolby Atmos, is coming to music. So obviously it has been around, in cinema, in theaters. But then 21, Apple Music made that significant move and decided to support Dolby Atmos. And from one day to another, really. Not everyone, but at least like the major labels asked for Dolby Atmos music mixes. We were lucky at that time. That's me and my partner and good friend Matthias Stalter, because he, around that time, 2020-ish, he probably heard the same rumors as I did, and was as much interested in three-dimensional audio programs as I was, and those possibilities, both creatively and technically. Yeah, he started that company called 3D Music, which is a very descriptive name for what we decided to do, and he asked me to join, and I was like, yeah, hell yeah, let's do that, and let's see if the market actually moves into that direction. And it turned out we were lucky enough to basically ride that wave, kind of, because after 21, basically the phones rang all the time. Everyone wanted that format, especially from a major perspective. We've mixed definitely over 2,500 songs in that format alone, in Dolby Atmos alone. Many national projects in Germany and Middle Europe, lots of international too, like Moby, for instance, that Resound NYC album I've mixed in Dolby Atmos. Trevor Horn's Echoes, Ancient and Modern, that was fun to do. Also stuff by Ray Dalton, for instance.
So, but I think one big fear maybe for people is who really want to get started maybe into the 3D audio scene is, does it translate to the customers? Is music, immersive music, really getting there? Has it a market?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, what's the point of making art no one can actually listen to, right?
Absolutely.
The beauty of them is they work on pretty much every system. That is just great because on channel-based formats like stereo or 5.1, say, you basically have one mix and one master for every output format. So I'd have to mix my song and master my song for stereo, and then you can only play that back on 2 speakers. It doesn't translate to 1 speaker, and if you have 3 speakers, one will just stay silent, obviously. From a production perspective, it's not very effective to have many different mixing sessions for every output format. And from the consumption side too, because we're living in a world where all those outputs are like getting more and more diverse. It just makes sense to work in audio formats that just translate on all those systems. The thing is though, if you start working on a small scale, you basically have to ramp up that scale, which is basically more or less still the status quo of a large portion of the market. Most folks still think music, write music, and produce music in stereo on 2 speakers and for 2 speakers. And after the fact, when everything is done, often already mastered in stereo, and everything is more or less ready to be released, someone like me, some Dolby Atmos guy, receives those stems and basically remixes the whole thing in Dolby Atmos. Technically, that kind of makes sense as the status quo is coming from stereo, but long term it makes sense to turn it the other way around, really, because Dolby Atmos is fully downward compatible, and you can use the same is true for Sony 360 and all those other modern formats. You can play back the same thing on headphones. You can play it back on soundbars, on smart speakers, on your television, on your mobile phone, on your laptop, on your 5.1, on your 712 AV receiver home cinema setup, and up to like full theater with like 35 plus speakers around you. So all of that coming from one single master file, which is the truth. And that kind of makes sense, that philosophy, because that is how music should be seen. So basically the whole goal is to forget about technology after that step and to only produce one piece of music as a full 3-dimensional sound bubble around you that you can use as a canvas to tell your story. And then everything derives from that on playback. That is how those formats work.
This new online course teaches you in 4 modules everything you need for a successful 3D audio production. Sound samples, practical exercises, interviews with industry experts, video tutorials, and many other multimedia content. At the end of the course, you will complete a practical exam and will receive feedback from our Atmos specialists as well as your certificate. The course can be booked alone or taken as a part of our HOFA Audio Diploma, where you learn everything you need for your music productions and a successful career in the audio industry. Check it out under HOFA-College.com. Yeah, if you think about it's really great to have the flexibility on the consumer side, that you really have multiple possibilities to listen to Atmos music. Even if you don't think about it, you have them. It's such present, I think, on the market. Mm-hmm. The potential is not, or maybe not recognized by everyone right now, but I think it should grow over time. But if you're looking also on the production side, I think it's really exciting to also see that what's possible only if you're using headphones, even how far you can come, how far you get a production. So if you think only 2 signals coming onto your ears and not 12 or more like on the speaker setup, but you're really able to a certain extent on evaluating how far the mix is going, and so there's only I think the question maybe for a whole lot of people starting there, is it really possible to go from headphones to professional production, or is this really is there a gap? Do you have a take on that?
Oh yeah, for sure. No, that's definitely right. I mean, you can produce on headphones. That's just a fact. And I don't see a big difference to stereo really in that regard, to be honest. Because see, let's look at stereo first, because that is like what most people see like normal music. Just because we're used to it. So when you send a file to a mastering engineer, would you expect him or her to have a fully calibrated, like professional grade studio environment? Probably yes. But nonetheless, you can do the full production, which is not uncommon these days, especially in popular music. You can do the full production, the recording and the mix and everything, and all the creative decisions on a tiny mobile setup, on headphones, on small speaker systems, because it's about creative decisions. And many great records, these days are recorded and produced in bedrooms or in hotel rooms for a large part of the production phase, at least. And then when you come to mixing and all the fine details and the more professional grade mastering, the quality assurance kind of later steps, which is just the smallest time frame of the whole production. The later you are in that process, the more likely you will go to a professional studio. So it's not different in Atmos. If your music is coming out in Atmos, and a lot of the music these days is, especially when you're signed to a label, a bigger one. But I mean, even in the indie market, more and more music comes out in 3 dimensions. So if that stuff is happening, if it comes out in 3 dimensions, why not think of your music in 3 dimensions from the get-go? I mean, why not write, produce, and arrange in that format? It just makes sense to me. And if you don't have 12 speakers around you, or if you don't have a calibrated system, or it shouldn't stop you. Use the tools you have. So most of the tools you really need are actually software, because obviously if you want to produce in Dolby Atmos, you need a Dolby Atmos renderer. That is a piece of software that looks like that. That is the official one by Dolby, which is a separate standalone application that you basically connect to your DAW of choice. But it's even simpler than that, because these days many of the popular DAWs, if not most popular DAWs, actually have it built in already, and it comes with your system. So if you're a Logic Pro user, or you have Pro Tools or whatever, or Cubase, you name it, you probably already have the tools. You have the 3-dimensional panning, you have that renderer, and yes, you can definitely just plug in your headphones and give it a go. And I think you should, actually. I'm not saying you will be a professional Dolby Atmos mastering engineer from day one, plugging in your headphones, obviously, but how is that different from stereo? But I'm saying, if your music is going to come out in 3 dimensions, I think it makes sense in the production phase, as early as possible, to think about all 3 dimensions.
Yeah, start with the tools you have, gain the experience. I think if it's on headphones or not, or on a speaker system, but you need to get used to it, on how it works, how it feels, how it interprets. Yeah. Getting started is better than wait that it comes to you, so that will definitely never happen. If you think about the spaciousness or effect design, or even arrangement stuff, where you really can go over the top. You don't have to yeah, have to have flying everything around and overuse it. And I think it would be such an interesting take if you talk about on how you think music evolves.
It's always about the story you want to tell and the emotion you want to deliver, and all the tools you have available and at your hands, all the technology and all the cultural stuff around it, all the options and all the tools you have to get your emotion and story delivered, all of them are allowed. Obviously, you said it earlier, don't overuse it. Don't use or don't do something just because you can, because there's a high likelihood, and obviously it happens a lot out there as well, and it's okay to get creative and to get experimental. Obviously, you don't want the technology or the mix in particular to get in the way of the actual music, right? There's always the case. It doesn't hurt to have more options, right? So what's basically the case is, while stereo is that small box of basically, it's just two speakers obviously, but I see stereo more of a LCR thing. So it's basically you have something which is only happening on the left, only happening on the right, and you have that whole in between which is happening on both, which is center, mono basically, and a little bit in between. And you also have a little more around that actually, which is the out of phase bit. Yeah. So it's we kind of maxed out what you can do with two speakers. It's I'm actually surprised how much, canvas, if you want to call it that, humanity can create with just those two speakers. It's actually crazy. And it's great. It's a great format. I don't have anything against stereo. I love stereo. The thing is, more speakers, it's just stereo plus more options. So I can still do the same thing. Take one or two elements and, place them in the back or in the top. Or, just change that stereo reverb and use a three-dimensional reverb instead. So nothing... All the stuff I love about music doesn't have to change and probably shouldn't change at all. It's just I can now add a few more toppings to that.
Yeah, it's such like an enhancement of the whole thing.
Exactly.
Getting it bigger, but having your foundation still there, so it doesn't leave or it doesn't really change. Yeah, it changes in a way, but not that we are...
it's augmented, so to say.
Yeah.
You basically, you tell the same story. And that is what, not that much these days, but many folks, having the first experience with a three-dimensional production, they're like, okay, wow, everything is different now. Well, it's actually not. You just do the same and you add a few things. But if your room sounds great and you have two spare channels and two spare mics, why not just use two more microphones and use them in the mix to get a little bit of spaciousness, a little more, reality and spatial context around that instrument. Why not catch that from the start? So you can do the same thing, just add a few sparkles to it.
Yeah, such great insights. Thank you very much, Christoph. And if you want to learn more about, check out our new 3D audio online course.